This is Matador News, and these are today's headlines. President Trump says he'll send troops to the U.S. Mexico border to protect America from immigration. And Villanova's men's basketball team celebrates its second national championship in 3 seasons. Hello, welcome to Matador News. I'm Leonard Tesher.
And I'm Cienfuegos. The Trump administration is threatening California's environmental protections. State officials said the new weaker emission policies from Washington may reverse the state's ability to enforce its stricter standards for vehicles put in place by the state and the Obama administration. The move also threatens California's efforts to prevent the administration from opening more land in the West for mining and drilling. Environmental Protection Agency Chief Scott Pruitt says the state's authority to set its own emissions has to be re-examined.
This president has shown tremendous courage to say to the American people that America is going to be put first. And I think this midterm evaluation, the auto sector, the importance of auto manufacturing in this country, the president again is saying America is going to be put first. And we have nothing to be apologetic about.
California is the only state that can independently adopt its own emission standards under the Clean Air Act and currently has the toughest regulations in the country and the most pollution.
Texas Democratic Congressman Beto O'Rourke has raised over $6.7 million for his U.S. Senate bid in just the first quarter of this year. The haul is O'Rourke's biggest fundraising quarter yet and the largest for any Democratic Senate candidate nationwide for the quarter. The money raised came from more than 141,000 contributions. His opponent, Republican Ted Cruz, has not released his first quarter fundraising numbers yet. O'Rourke plans to hold town hall meetings in 15 cities over the next 6 days.
President Trump says Mexico has to do something to stop a caravan of migrants coming into the United States. The caravan, mainly migrants from Honduras, is currently marching through Mexico to protest U.S. policy. Trump says the border has to be stronger.
I told Mexico very strongly, you're going to have to do something about these caravans that are coming up. And I just noticed that the caravan now, which is toward the middle of Mexico, coming up from Honduras, is breaking up very rapidly.
The migrants plan to turn themselves in and request asylum after crossing the U.S. border. The group of migrants in the caravan is the largest yet, totaling to more than 1,000 people. Trump was speaking at the White House during a lunch with leaders from the Baltic states.
The 13-year-old boy who was trapped in the sewage pipes beneath Griffith Park says he was praying for a miracle during his 14-hour ordeal. Jesse Hernandez and his friends made their way to an abandoned concrete building on the north end of the park during a family Easter picnic. The boys say they were jumping on wooden planks when one of them broke beneath Hernandez. Hundreds of firefighters and police officers launched cameras and placed them in the sewers. Each camera had lights and was strapped to a floating platform. Video footage showed Hernandez's handprints along the walls of the pipes. Following the handprints, the workers were able to find the concrete place where Hernandez was trapped and pull him out. Hernandez was treated at a hospital and released. Mayor Garcetti says it's a miracle that the boy is alive. He continued to say he's courageous, and so were the first responders who worked around the clock.
It's special election day in Los Angeles. Voters in 3 state assembly districts are heading to the polls to elect new representatives. 2 of those seats are empty after the former assemblymen were forced to step down due to allegations of sexual harassment. Matador News reporter Sammy Shaktah has more in the newsroom.
Thank you, Lauren. Special primary elections for California State Assembly Districts 38, 45, and 54 are taking place today. The 3 seats were all vacated unexpectedly by lawmakers last year. 2 of them after seat holders Raul Bocanegra and Matt DeBobne resigned after sexual misconduct allegations. While these elections affect local life near Northridge, voter turnout looked very low, especially at this voting location near CSUN. Here at this Seventh-day Adventist church, voters can come out and let their voice be heard in this primary election. California Assemblywoman Cristina Garcia, who has also been accused for sexual misconduct, has volunteered to take an unpaid leave while investigations still take place. CSUN Poli-Sci professor Tom Hogen-Esch talks more on how the Me Too movement is already making a huge impact.
People in LA are just totally disconnected from the electoral process really until a competitive primary, or the general election. Almost nobody shows up for a special election.
790,000 residents are eligible to vote. Candidates need to secure 50% of the vote to guarantee a spot, or else the top two candidates will face off in another election on June 5th. Now let's go back to Leonard in the studio.
It may be spring, but it feels like winter in the Northeast. A heavy snowstorm has moved fast through New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and New England. New York City has seen about 5.5 inches of snow, its heaviest April snowfall since 1982. The Yankees had to cancel their home opener. A new storm is forming and is expected to bring more snow and heavy rain throughout the Midwest and the East Coast in the next few days. The heavy snowstorm is expected to hit the upper Midwest today, with possibly 6 to 12 inches of snow in parts of Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Michigan. The storm is expected to move east, with rain possible along the East Coast tomorrow afternoon.
The first sentence in the Mueller-Russia probe has been handed down. A Dutch lawyer tied to former Trump deputy campaign chairman Rick Gates is being sentenced to 30 days in prison in order to pay a $20,000 fine after lying to special counsel Robert Mueller's team. Alex van der Swan pleaded guilty after admitting to lying to investigators about not turning over emails to the special counsel's office while they were investigating Trump's former campaign chairman Paul Manafort. Van der Swan is the fourth guilty plea in Mueller's investigation.
Now let's go to Nathan with the latest news in business.
Thank you, Leonard. Wall Street seems to be recovering after yesterday's big stock sell-off. Investors are still trying to make sense of the Trump administration's plan to impose tariffs on $50 billion of Chinese exports. Trump says the idea of the tariff is to push up the price of foreign goods to make the U.S.-made option more attractive. But the Chinese government responded by adding tariffs on about $3 billion worth of U.S. imports. The Chinese tariff on U.S. exports went into effect Monday, affecting 128 products ranging from pork, meat, fruit, and steel pipes, and sending some investors into selling mode. Spotify, a digital music, podcast, and video streaming service, joined the New York Stock Exchange this morning. They used a different approach than other large companies have in the past. The company opened with direct listing instead of an initial public offering. This allows the shares to be listed and offered at the same time to public investors without any Wall Street banks' underwritings. The New York Stock Exchange set Spotify's reference price at $132 ahead of today's trading. Spotify's stock opened at $165.90. Now, back to Ricardo Sandoval with health.
Thanks, Nathan. Dating app Grindr says it will stop sharing the HIV status of its users with other companies. The company says they share the users' information with two companies called Aptimize and Localytics. Grindr's chief technology officer, Scott Chen, says the company makes it clear that if you share your health information, it will be made public. They also say that the HIV status is not sold to any third parties or used to target advertisers. 2 deaths and 56 cases of severe bleeding were caused by fake weed in the Chicago and Central Illinois area. People were coughing up blood, finding blood in their urine, and experiencing bleeding gums and other symptoms. The Illinois Department of Public Health says they've never seen an outbreak like this in the area, but the local health departments are doing their best to prevent additional deaths and warning cannabis smokers. Now, let's go back to Nathan with entertainment.
Hollywood couple Channing Tatum and Jenna Dewan Tatum announced their separation through a joint tweet Monday night. The tweet stated the couple still loved each other, but had reached a point where they were on different paths in life. It continued by saying the couple wanted each other to live a joyous and the most fulfilled life possible. The couple got married in 2009 following the filming of the movie Step Up. They share a 4-year-old daughter named Everly. Former wrestling star Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson has recently opened up about his struggles with depression. In an interview with Express, Johnson talked about the dark times in his life following injuries that ended his dreams of playing professional football, and heartbreak in his personal life. He explained times were harder than fans could see. Johnson says he wants to use his experiences to help others going through similar situations. Now let's go to Matador News reporter Karen Ruiz in the newsroom with a report about future Hispanic generation speaking less Spanish.
A new study from Pew Research Center shows that the longer Latino immigrant families are in the United States, the less likely they are to teach their children their native language. Some CSUN students say people are adapting to the American culture and forgetting their own.
Personally, I'm the oldest out of my family. I'm a first generation, and I was taught Spanish, but when I was starting kindergarten and I was starting into school, they were just like, okay, like, start learning English. So I started adapting.
People our age, like around the age 19, 17, they don't know Spanish. They come from a Spanish background, but they don't speak it, but they understand it.
I think that as second, third generations try to assimilate to American culture, they end up forgetting their own original culture.
75% of third-generation Latinos are speaking English at home, and about 40 million speak Spanish in their homes, making this the second most spoken language in the United States. Now back to the newsroom with Ricardo Sandoval on sports.
Thanks, Karen. The Villanova Wildcats have joined some elite company by winning their second NCAA title in 3 years. The Wildcats defeated the Michigan Wolverines 79-62 thanks to Dante DiVincenzo.
Look at DiVincenzo dropping it in. Dirk. Nice cut again. It's pass of his own to set up DiVincenzo.
Was that a game? Oh, look at this.
Yes. Yes. Not real.
How great they are defensively. They are great.
DiVincenzo was named the tournament's most outstanding player by scoring 31 points off the bench in last night's championship game. The Wolverines had no answer for him as he was scoring at will. Villanova is projected to be a top 3 team by the start of next season. The Notre Dame's Fighting Irish women weren't supposed to win the national championship game until the impossible happened.
Hogen-Esch for the win. Hogen-Esch wins the national championship for Notre Dame.
Notre Dame guard Enrique Ngombowale helped put Mississippi State to bed with that dagger. Afterwards, NBA legend Kobe Bryant, as well as other NBA stars, tweeted out to the junior guard, calling her cold-blooded. This is the second title for the women of Notre Dame, but their first since 2001. Now let's go back to Leonard with more on news.
A forgotten painting in an Iowa closet has turned out to be a 16th century masterpiece. The painting, titled Apollo and Venus, is by Dutch Renaissance painter Otto van Veen. Robert Warren was searching through his closet when he came upon the painting. After finding an auction sticker on the back of the painting, Warren became interested in it. Warren says he had no idea how much it was worth.
Otto van Veen, the artist, is in every major museum, the Louvre, the Portrait Gallery, the Rubens Estate, and the paintings that have been sold have been valued between $4 million and $17 million.
Warren says he has no plans to sell the painting. Hoyt Sherman Palace held a private unveiling of the artwork last month, and the gallery is making plans to display it permanently.
It's currently 67 degrees in Northridge. We'll continue to have sunny skies today with a high of 74 degrees. The rest of the week will be partly cloudy, and we may see some rain coming in this weekend.
Thank you for watching Matador News. I'm Leonard Tesher.
I'm Lauren Cienfuegos.
I'm Nathan Espinosa.
And I'm Ricardo Sandoval.